Salut les champions et les championnes, welcome back to Le Parcours, another episode of Stories That Shape. I am TONI and I'm honored and thrilled to be back here just to give you those stories that are going to shape indeed. So I'm privileged to be sitting with a mother, a visionary, an entrepreneur, a woman of impact in general, and I'll just let her introduce herself to you.
Thank you, Tony.
Yes.
I am Irene Mutumba. I am a teacher by profession. I am a social entrepreneur and a visionary leader. And I come from Kampala, Uganda.
It's a pleasure to be sitting with you, Irene.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for honoring my invitation. You know, when I saw you for the last week, when we were in the same training, I was like, you gave me a vibe of a woman of character. And I was just like, I need to sit with this woman on my podcast and get to listen from you and get to hear from you, because I believe there's something that you can share with us, the younger generation of women, girls, or just any woman who is ready to learn something from a fellow woman. So, in 3 words, how can you describe yourself? Who do you think you are in 3 words?
I am a catalyst of change. I am visionary, and I am an entrepreneur who looks at the bigger picture. So catalyst of change in any way, even if it's home, family, business. I am a visionary leader. I've led different organizations. Even the classroom, as I'm a teacher, is a leadership position. And I love to see the world as a better place as a social entrepreneur. Because if we can socially and economically empower individuals, communities, then that is an empowered community.
Indeed, and that's very huge, just for someone to sit and call themselves a catalyst of change, a visionary leader, and just be able to find out that thing in general, that first is something extraordinary. And I'm glad that whatever I sensed, I'm having it now, and we are going to listen from you.
Thank you.
So tell me, what was your early life like, your early age, when you started looking at life? And you really get to know that I am alive and I have to make a life. I don't know if it was maybe at 15 or maybe at 7 or maybe at 20, I don't know. But I want to understand, how was your early life like in your family, and what pushed you to be that person that you are today?
Thank you. I come from a family of 7 and I am the youngest.
Ooh.
So at a very early stage, like when I was about 6 years, most of my siblings were either married or in school, so I used to stay at home almost alone with my parents.
Yeah.
So that meant that I had the both worlds, the good and the bad, because I was the only one at home. And within the community where I was staying, we had immigrants, people who used to come and work in the coffee factory, and most of them came with their young ones. So those young boys and girls could not go to school. I was the only person in the community who would go to a British nursery school. So that for me was a problem, because these were young people like me, but they didn't have the opportunity. Yet I also needed someone to play with.
I know.
So what I did,
You needed time to be a kid as well.
I wanted to be a kid as well. So what I did, we started playing together, but of course different languages. But you know, young people, you still get a way to connect.
Yeah.
So what I did is that whenever I went to the nursery school, I would keep the biscuits, the orange, and every leftover, and I would bring them home for my friends. So every time, at the same time, they would wait for me in a certain corner, and I would give them, you know, what I had, and then teach them some English words, because they could not go to school. So in that way, we connected. we played. They used to help me even with the homework. And from that time, I think my empathy kind of started at that level, seeing that the world is a bit unfair, because if it was fair, everyone should be able to go to school.
Yeah.
No one should stay at home. So my way of connecting that was, playing together, talking to them, bringing stuff. And my entrepreneurial perspective started during that time as well, because being the youngest at home, I used to be the one to be sent to the shop, go buy sugar, go buy this. I don't know what happened those days, because they would never buy in bulk, but you would just buy what you need for that
specific moment. Yeah, I get that.
I couldn't get that. So that time I realized that in order for anyone to get something good, you need to buy. You have to buy it, because we had a plantation and some animals at home, but there are things that we really wanted, like the biscuits, the sweets, those ones we had to buy. So that got me the thought that in future, if I want to buy the biscuits and the sweets and the chocolates and whatever, I had to work harder to make money. So we started realizing that my entrepreneurial perspective came through that, because if there was no money to go to the shop, then we just eat the greens from the bush, from the garden.
Yeah.
So I went on with that. That is when I also enjoyed or exercised my leadership skills, because of collecting young people and taking them through activities. So even when I went to primary school, in boarding school, I used to cater for the young ones that used to come in, showing them how to bathe, how to make their beds. I enjoyed that. So from that time, I was made a prefect at school. But during that time, I think my teachers realized that I was not a normal, any student. So they gave me extra exams, and they realized, I think she's too fast, she's too intelligent. So I jumped one class and moved on to the next class, so that was good. But then during that time, this is when I also looked at the teaching profession. A teacher standing in front of young people, I thought that was a big thing. Like, you are sitting here and you have all the knowledge. So I thought teachers were the smartest, intelligent people that I had ever seen. So I admired them. So they inspired me. And one thing I liked about that is that teachers, they were not teaching the whole day. Someone would come in from 8 to 9 and then come back from 2 to 4. I'm like, I need that job. You don't actually have to work full time.
I know.
And when it's holiday time, you all go for holidays, and then you still get paid.
When you're still there, there's that myth that students have. There's a tension between the teachers and the students, and somehow the students be like, oh my God, I really never wish to be a teacher. Like, I don't want to be having that tension, or, be that person who is not admired in the classroom or in the school.
Yes.
So how did you balance that, and how did you get to see it in a positive way, not really in that way?
I think we're just lucky that if you find a good school, a head teacher and teachers, it depends on the environment and how teachers, take kids. I think during our days, those were the early days of the 60s, teachers were like mothers, they were like fathers. So they were not mean. Okay, if you did something bad, you really go for it, but they had that feeling that if someone is good,
they would nurture you to bring out that thing.
So for me, I think I had that opportunity. I knew the good and the bad. And of course, at that time, you never know that they are not making money. I just got to know a bit later that teachers are the poor paid professionals. But I also understand that for some young people, if you have a school which does not really nurture or respect or have that love, care, I think you can hate the the teaching profession. But for us, I think we had an English head teacher. So I think that kind of balance of the environment, curriculum, and how we are supposed to be treated, I think was good enough for me. But yeah, I do understand.
Yeah, let's jump real quick to now your teen years, when you were maybe 22 and above, and you maybe finished your high school. Like, what was your perspective on life by that age, and what were your challenges in your time, and how do you relate it to the challenges that are available today that you can see as a mother? Because you're a mother, and kids grow. So at 6, the challenges that you were having, now you're becoming a woman. You're a young woman turning it to a real woman. So I want to know, how did you find that age in your time, and how did you tackle everything around it?
Yeah, just to get back a little bit, during my time of primary school and high school, my parents were imprisoned. My father was taken to prison, and my mom, because that regime thought that they were connected to the king, the kingdom in that time. So I had to be taken to my grandmother's house, which was a house of like 50 individuals, and here I am as a newcomer. So one thing that still I remember from today is that being hardworking is very important, because that home was very big. I used to run around, cooking, picking the firewood. So coming to that house, I was seen as an asset more than a problem. And that was one way of how I was surviving, doing anything that I was supposed to do. And early enough, the learning from there is that if you change your environment, you need to see, how am I going to survive in this place? How am I going to add value so that I am not a liability, but an asset? So I also realized that it was very important to have many friends, because it was very difficult. So keeping friends here, my mother's friends, and being good, I was able to get probably books, a pen, something around that. So the idea of networking strategically started at a very early stage, because I knew that my parents were in prison for 2 years. So during that time, I was actually depending on the environment, and I had to survive.
Exactly. You're mentioning being in a house of such a lot of people.
Yeah.
We can as well look at it on the side of, everyone is fighting for their life, they're running around. So you don't really have time to depend on anyone, or wait until someone got pity on you.
Yeah.
Like, you got to think about yourself and what you're gonna use, what you're gonna do in your life. So I'll get far to your profession, to how you came to be an entrepreneurial woman, how it started, and the idea, because I think it all starts from an idea. So the idea, how did it come, and then how did you implement it? Because I know starting a thing is real hard. How did you start it? What were the challenges that you faced, those top challenges, and how do you keep on pushing till today?
Thank you. A bit backwards, as I mentioned, in primary school, I decided that I wanted to be a teacher because I wanted to have a family. I knew the teaching profession could do that. I wanted to have a profession and a good life. So from that time, when I went to the university, I actually applied to be a teacher, to study education, which nobody did want in those particular days. And because I had gone through a very difficult time, I wanted to be independent. And I knew independence, you needed to have your own resources. So even when I was at the university, again, my parents had gone into exile in Kenya. So I stayed alone because I didn't like Kenya that time.
Yeah.
So I had to survive. So I had to do many odd jobs, training, like coaching, that teaching, coaching, so that I could actually make a bit of money so that I'm not depending. So because even my parents were depending on me who was in Uganda to buy food, take it across the border. And because somehow I was not having a stable home, because then I was living with relatives, that's when I said, I think I need to get my own home. And because I wanted a family, so strategically when I went to university, I said I must come out of this university with a husband so that I can be independent and do my
start a
own.
family,
Yes. So luckily enough, I had my character person that I wanted, tall, black, profession. And somehow I landed a medical doctor. And we moved on for some time.
So there, before you continue,
Yes.
it's also a thing to sit down and, decide I need to do this at a given point. Because I feel like marriage sometimes, jumps on people when they did not really think about, do I want to marry? When should I marry? Who do I want to marry? So that's also a part that you thought about and decided on it?
Yeah. Because, of course, I had seen my parents, as married people. I used to see my dad, my mother going to church and taking all of us, very proud of us. Oh, this one is so and so, this one. So I really loved that. And I thought it was the norm. So I said, I want to be like them. I want to have a husband so that I can have children that I can show off. So I think it all comes back from your background. But I also want to say is that, and that as people, we need to look ahead before we actually get there. Because for me, that was something that started in my primary school. I didn't know, but I wanted to be married. So being very strategic in life is very, very important.
Strategic, yeah.
And using the right time for right things is very important. Because from what I see these days, people start thinking about that when they're out of college, when they're out of university. It's okay, but it's a bit late because then you not have a choice. But at a young stage, we had so many choices. And I remember I used to giving marks, or John is 20, this one is this one is, it was so funny.
You're rating people literally.
Yeah, and discussing with my sisters. And of course, before we're looking at the background. What kind of family is he coming from? Has a profession?
Background check.
Yeah, we had that. And I wish even young people today could do that.
Yeah.
Because it worked.
By the way, let me ask you something. On this part of, discussing with sisters that you just mentioned, I feel like in our generation, we tend to even hide about having a relationship or being with anyone. You're afraid that someone will they will take them from you. You're afraid that they will maybe share information that is wrong. What do you think about an open relationship where you can discuss the person you're interested in with your parents, with your sisters, with your cousins, with your friends? Do you think that is something that would allow people to get to know who they are about to marry in deep and, not make a wrong choice?
That is indeed, that should be the right thing, because within that process, you get a lot of advice. My siblings made so many mistakes. Some of them, had kids without getting married. Some of them got married and then left. So I didn't want to be part of that. So sharing gives you, the inroads, what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And one thing that I always tell people is that if it is your man, whatever happens,
I know
it will be. But what is happening now is that there's a lot of competition, that people are fearful, to talk about themselves, because I think we always want to show, the good side. I am good, I am this and this. So you become very secretive. And that has led to so many issues around relationships. But definitely for me, I think maybe I'm too talkative as well as a character. But I think it really helped me because my sisters told me, don't do this, don't do that. And I said, I'll never, never have kids out of marriage.
Yeah.
Because already I have failed at that level. So what you see within the environment should really, inform your decisions.
Yeah.
And to be really independent in terms of making decisions.
Yeah.
So that has also helped me in life. So that entrepreneurial kind of perspective, because entrepreneurship, you need to look for information, you need to set goals, you need to be, if you see something is good, you are persistent, you are patient, you want to get things done. So I think naturally I was born an entrepreneur, but these are things that people need to learn because they help you survive in every situation.
In every aspect of
in
life.
every aspect.
Yeah.
It's
so
not, yeah.
you get a husband.
Yes.
In your university?
Yes, in my before actually, as I was getting into high school.
Oh.
So I get my husband, in fact, because he was a medical doctor, I found him on campus when he had two more years to go. So we were on campus together. In fact, he was living upstairs and downstairs, so it was already like a marriage in the university. But of course with challenges as well. But
yeah.
Good enough, he was also like, yeah, I think you are, he said, I think you are a marriage material. So that kept me moving. I'm like, even if he's moving around, he said one thing that I'll stick and I'll persist. So we got married after 6 years.
After 6 years of dating?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had my first daughter, Maggie. She's now 36.
36?
Yes.
Wow.
In Canada. And then after 2 years, I had George. Then after 12 years, I had Samuel. So I was in marriage for 34 years until my husband passed in 2022. He died of cancer.
Oh,
but we had been together for 40 years in total. But when I, went into marriage, I kept my teaching profession. And we were poorly paid, but I kept my wedding gown, and I used to hire that wedding gown to other people to just get money in the marriage. And I did that for 2 years until we left for the UK. So that kept my entrepreneurial. So I loved teaching, so I was not worried even if I wasn't paid, but I used to, do business outside, and I just used my wedding gown for all that time. So after some time, I taught a bit, then we moved around, we went to UK for some years, came back, started working with private sector, and that's when I started, like, in my management position, like employing intelligent young people from the university. And they did not perform. You give them a job, come to work, sit, wait. What am I supposed to do today? You even show them what to do.
Sometimes they don't do it as well.
Yeah, and of course that time Uganda was a private sector-led economy, so people, we have so many foreigners now, like from Kenya, that it's better to hire Kenyans than Ugandans because you use a lot of money to get something done.
Yeah.
So that was my turning point, and I said, I am a parent. I mean, we are selling our land, we are working so hard to take these young people to school just to come in the country, in the workplace, and they can't be hired. I mean, they could get into a job, but they could not sustain it.
Yeah.
So knowing how we teachers are trained, I remembered, I just said, well, they're just bringing those behaviors from the school system to the workplace, because that's what we do for them. Everything is wait. You have to be told.
Yeah.
So that was my turning point, and I said, let me go back and work with the education sector, not as a competitor, but let's work together and see how we can fill the gaps, how we can complement. So this is when I started PEDN on a public-private partnership model, government, private sector, and us the NGOs, or the community, meaning parents, teachers in that other space, so that we can identify the gaps, because the things that we are seeing in the country were really worrying. You know, you think even if you have a doctor, they cannot get a job, even if you have an engineer. So PEDN was started on that mode that people should use what they have, whether it's passion, whether it's skills, whether it's knowledge, but apply the entrepreneurial way of thinking to be successful.
Yeah.
And to also bring in business as an alternative, apart from the other professions that we are talking about. And to help parents understand that starting a business is also a career, it's a profession. So that took a bit of time to change attitudes and mindsets, but PEDN is about integrating those life skills, entrepreneurship, financial literacy skills into and making our subjects more relevant and practical and fun.
I know.
I know that in terms of what we do, we take kids out for exposure visits. They start projects, they lead classrooms, so that you put them in charge because they also know something. Yeah, so to understand the environment and everyone to feel like I can do something else. I can help in another way in the community. So social innovation is very key as part of my life, and then business.
Yeah.
So what I really want to do is that let us teach young people empathy and compassion at a very early stage so that they are not really taken up by the money, because money comes and goes.
I know.
Yeah.
You mentioned about the PEDN, but give us the full of the name PEDN. What does that stand
It's
for?
actually, sorry about that. It's a very long name. It is called the Private Education Development Network.
Yes.
So in short, because it's such a long name, we call it PEDN. And the vision is creating an enterprising and productive society.
Yeah.
And for me, I wanted to create that entrepreneurial society within the education system, because everyone's one or the other goes through that.
You just mentioned something about being led by the social enterprise more than, the money that comes behind it, but somehow it's twisted around these days. Some people even look forward to doing anything and everything, even if it is wrong, as long as they earn something. So what is your perspective towards that? Yes, as a teacher, you have seen that people go into a workplace, they don't execute the knowledge that they have, because we're in a system where you do an assignment, you are using ChatGPT, AI, it's giving you a lot of information. So at the end of the day, putting in practicals what you really have becomes a challenge. So when it becomes a challenge, it brings someone to a frustration that they want to, earn money through anything, as long as it's easy. You will do anything wrong, you will say something bad, you will record yourself in a way which is unprofessional. So what is your perspective in that way, and what kind of message can you give so that the young generation can feel like, we're gonna get the money, but we can also get the money through doing the right thing?
Right. Before I even get to that, I think there's a moral decay. I mean, even starting from the school system, the values and, the good values and behaviors have broken down from the school system. I could give an example. We have clubs in schools, school clubs, but if someone is campaigning to be a chairman, they are even bribing their own, students.
Their fellow students.
Yeah. Which gives a wrong, direction.
Yeah.
In terms of breaking morals in the school system. So it is now taken as if you have money, anything can actually be done. And why is that so? We also have fewer role models. They are there, but we are not utilizing their being there.
Yeah.
People that have made it, slowly until they reach the top. So we have fewer role models, mentors. So we are lacking all that. And what is mentoring the young people? It is the social media, which is a completely different world,
The real life.
life altogether. So social media or ICT has come in, but it's not being used the right way. So this is why the goal-rich, aspect is killing, because they are seeing this every day. I want to be this, I want to do that, I want to do that. So it is that go rich quick. And I would suggest that, recommend to young people that take your time. If you do things right, they'll be right until the end. Because you can survive in that rich quick mode for some time. But one day it will end up you might end up in prison, or you might die, or it is not sustainable. So I would want to encourage our young people that go slow. There's a lot of time to grow ethically, and you enjoy that much better than if you do something quick and you end up in prison or something really bad.
Yeah.
So we need to look back and see what can we do in terms of identifying role models, mentors, and telling the stories. I think I'm glad that you invited me to this, because stories also help. Because sometimes we think that people have gotten to things quickly and easily, but it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
There's
not the reality.
that deep.
Yeah, there's that path that
There's
they
that
passed
path,
through
yes. So,
that we need to learn. And that was my primary, I can say, push to creating such a podcast, because
Yeah.
I feel like we think we know the way we are supposed to do things, but we don't have the information on how it has been done
Before.
with the previous people. And I think there's nothing that someone can create by now which is very new, that has never happened. And we need to learn from our elder people and have
And
it
harmonize with what we can today.
exactly. So this will take me to the last part of our podcast, but it's more of what's that toughest challenge that you have had? It can either be family-wise, entrepreneur-wise, that you faced and you're like, oh, if I don't think twice now, I might fall, but if I do it right, I will rise.
So much has happened in that space, but maybe I could talk about the most recent one, the death of my husband.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest challenge, because he was sick for some time. And then I had the kids were going to school. One of them had bipolar disorder, which is another big
Journey, yeah.
Another journey. So I had a lot of things. My daughter, she was doing her PhD, but then she had got a child, but she had it introduced, and she was also going through a hard time, the husband not deciding. So it was one person, me, to hold all those pillars,
or
the entire thing. But in my mind, I said, God does not give you what you cannot handle. So, before, as young people, we don't really believe in that. But I think for the first time, I think it's God who actually helped me, because in my mind, I always said I have this invisible person who is looking at what I'm going through, but also being hopeful. I'm a very positive person. And I know, and I keep saying that this is a season. The season will pass.
Yeah.
If I don't keep myself up in this season, then I'll not get to the other season. So what am I saying is that the issues, the problems, the challenges will always be there, but be positive.
Yeah.
And know that within this season, you need to get the support. I mean, even if it's family, even if you need to reach out to a counselor, somebody who you can talk to without being judged or thinking that he's going to say. So actually, those are some of the things. I also reached out to a counselor just to be able to talk through. I started doing some journaling because then I had to take out some. I love music, so I, just listening to music, church music. So you really need to, to bring around you many positive things.
Yeah.
And knowing that it will pass, because it always passes.
It always passes,
Yes.
indeed.
Yeah.
So then, what's that thing that has happened throughout in your journey that you were so excited about, and you said, this has really gotten me to the next level? Like, it might even not be something really tangible,
Yeah.
but that thing that gave you the hope, that thing that happened, and it was very positive that it gave you the hope of life.
Okay, I could say 20 years ago when I was identified as an Ashoka Fellow, as a leading social entrepreneur, I think that really pushed me to the next level.
Yeah.
Because I had done so many things which people didn't really feel are good or relevant to me. But then this organization came and fished me out and showed me that, Irene, actually you are on the right path. You can transform systems. You are visionary. So it is that validation that I actually got by being identified as an Ashoka Fellow and so many other awards. I think that showed me that I may not be 100% complete person, but I have something around me. And I just said, let me use that to see that I can help in any way, because for me, as I mentioned, if somebody is happy, somebody can smile, even if by just listening to them, for me it is profit.
Yeah.
And then I'm saying that in my mind I said that I am in this world because of a purpose. God puts you around for a purpose. So I'm always asking myself every day, what is my purpose for today, God? Now that I have another day, what is my purpose?
Now that I just woke up.
Yes. So one thing that we need to know is that we all have something good about us.
Yeah.
We just need to listen, be mindful, and say, what is it? And how can I utilize that? For some people, it is something as simple as smiling to someone, and then that, gives them the peace, whatever. So be comforted that you have something unique about you. Find out, or if you don't know, ask other people around you. Others will be mean, don't worry.
It will pass.
It will pass.
Yeah,
It will pass.
yeah.
Yes.
What's
So
your favorite quote?
my favorite?
Quote. Like a quote that you really like and that pops up to your mind too much times.
Well, so many, but one thing I could just maybe talk about the quote for PEDN, which is start early, succeed young.
Wow.
Because with everything, if you start off from A, by the time you get to Z, you are going to have time than when you leave it too late, than when you start thinking about a job, about marriage, when you already begin. So I always say, do things early enough. If there is an opportunity, take it up. If there's someone to listen, do it. But I'll think of more.
Oh, yeah, actually, I really like that one.
Start early.
In my mind, I had planned to talk about that, just that, as the conversation
I have
went.
one. A wealthy woman, a wealthy nation.
A wealthy woman, a wealthy nation.
If all women are empowered, then we'll have better, because we share.
I actually think
We share our wealth, we share our love.
Exactly, but I think it connects to each other. A wealthy woman, a wealthy nation. But again, any woman should start early and succeed young. And it complements each other in a way that is very magical. And, you know, we just have to wake up and put things in action and, you know, make it come to life because we are life givers.
Yes. I always connected to that when I'm teaching women. There are so many women who have great skills, but the timing. You find someone is a very good cook, has a restaurant, but then they start cooking at midday when the people who are coming to eat are coming in at 1 and going back to their offices. So for me, do things as early as possible. And even if there's a problem in between, you still have time.
You still have time to cope up.
To cope up.
Yeah, well, Irene, this was amazing.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much. I really think it's not the end of the conversations that we are going to be having with Irene.
Thank you.
And I really think we cannot talk about your life in just 30 minutes or 40 minutes that we just used. Because there will be a series I would like to know about the marriage path of life for 40 years, because that's amazing. That's amazing. I would like to know about the kids. You mentioned about one having
36,
you know,
34, and 23.
And 23.
Yes.
One having a bipolar
I am
disorder.
62.
You're 62?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, I did not see that coming.
I am 62.
I did not see that coming. I maybe thought like 50 something.
No. In fact, they call me grandma. And I'm proud.
Yeah, exactly. And it's amazing. I saw how you're running, going to the restaurants. You're still strong. You're still strong, mindful. Like you can think, you can implement, and give an idea. And what else are we looking for in life if this is not what it is? So it will be another session of getting to know different particular aspects of the life. You mentioned about having a kid who had a bipolar disorder, and how did you cope up with that? Because I think there are a lot of children out here who are having such kind of issues, and because of the internet.
And that's my interest in mental wellness, mental health and wellness, because of him.
So you see, it's a lot we can talk about, and we cannot all put it out at once. But I'll be glad to sit with you again. Welcome. And then we bring down something else. We unpack one by one.
Yes.
I'll be glad to visit PEDN in Uganda. And
in Uganda, welcome. Welcome.
So
and
it is a
you
pleasure.
Come and see a bit of the chaos, good chaos.
The chaos, it's not peaceful like here.
No. But it's good chaos.
Yeah. I think whenever something is approached right, it goes right.
Yeah.
So again, I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
I know it was a rush. You were having, a flight.
But we made it.
We made it.
We made it.
Thank you.
God is good all the time.
All the time.
And that is his nature.
I know. I appreciate and can't wait to have you again. And I can't wait to see the impact that this conversation is going to have on different people out here.
Wonderful.
From Rwanda, from Uganda, because I think if I share this link, it's going to impact people from here.
Thank you.
And then from your side as well. So, yeah, we're reaching out and trying to make the world a better place.
Thank you.
I appreciate it again.
Thank you. And thank you, viewers.